Good evening, social media. This is a little bedtime Bible story. And this is a picture that I took when I was in Israel. And I was standing on the mountain. I want to say it's a man-made mountain called Megiddo. There's 30 layers of civilizations of where I was standing when I took this picture, spanning over thousands of years. It's a man-made mountain, but basically Megiddo is a location that you can see that it's very vast. You can look from all directions, 360-degree angle, and see for miles away. I decided to take this picture to show you something interesting. And if you have a minute, if you don't, it's okay, but if you have a minute, I would like you to pull up 1 Kings chapter 21, starting in verse 1. This is a story about Ahab and Naboth. Ahab was ruling at one point in time in Israel. He was an evil, wicked king, and his wife was Jezebel. There were many kings that ruled over this certain stretch of land at certain points in history. We're talking about Jeroboam, Ahab, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Romans, etc. But during this time in 1 Kings chapter 21, I would imagine that at one point in time, maybe Ahab was at his horse stable, which is on Megiddo, and a bunch of other cool things they had back then, and might have been overlooking this valley. And he was looking down, and all of that green, lush farmland that you see there belonged to a man named Naboth in the Old Testament. Naboth's Hebrew name means a sprout. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? There's always little hidden secrets in the Bible about people with their names. But it was such a good location for everything, and I would imagine Ahab standing over this, looking down at Naboth's vineyard, which he owned, and he coveted his vineyard. And it says in verse 1, "And it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Jezreelite," because this is the Jezreel Valley right here, what we're looking at, "had a vineyard, which was in Jezreel, hard by the palace of King Ahab of Samaria. And Ahab spake unto Naboth, saying, Give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house, and I will give thee for it a better vineyard than it. Or, if it seem good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in money. And Naboth said to Ahab, The Lord forbid it me that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee." In other words, no. Sentimental, right? We sometimes cannot put a price tag on sentimental possessions. And I totally understand where Naboth is coming from, and probably did not agree with Ahab's pagan philosophies in the first place. In verse 4, "Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him. For he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid down upon his bed, and he turned away his face, and he would not eat. No bread." Of course, he's pouting. "But Jezebel his wife came to him and said unto him, Why is thy spirit so sad, and thou eatest no bread? And he said unto her, Because I spake unto Naboth the Jezreelite, and said unto him, Give me thy vineyard for money, or else, if it please thee, I will give thee another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give thee my vineyard." Telling a king no, right? You imagine that doesn't fly very well in our generation today. Telling a leader, a president, no. They don't like that word no. Just something to think about. "Jezebel's wife said unto him, Doest thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread. Let thy heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite." Here's her little wicked plan that she cooks up, and I want you guys to think about all of the wicked plans that our government cooks up today against their political enemies. Think about it. She wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters unto the elders and to the nobles that were in his city, dwelling with Naboth. And she wrote in the letters, saying, Proclaim a fast, and set Naboth on high among the people. And she set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him to bear witness against him, saying, Thou didst blaspheme God and the king, and then carry him out and stone him, that he may die. You know, these 2 individuals, we're talking Ahab and Jezebel, were not really worshiping God, okay? They had pagan idolatry going on. But did you notice how when they're trying to get leverage on somebody, they obviously invoke God into this whole situation? It's kind of interesting to think about to me. Why not blaspheming Baal or something like that? It would have been closer to the truth. Not that Naboth did that, but I mean, honestly, anybody who loved the Lord in that time is not going to be favorable of a phony God, you know. But anyway, verse 11 says, And the men of his city, even the elders and the nobles, who were the inhabitants in his city, did as Jezebel had sent unto them. And it was written in the letters which she had sent unto them. They proclaimed a fast, and said, you know, proclaiming a fast means, you know, you're trying to get God's attention, okay? So this was very well planned out, you know, getting God's attention by fasting. They set Naboth, right, on high among the people. And there came in 2 men, children of Belial, and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him, even against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth did blaspheme God and the king, and they carried him out forth of the city, and stoned him with stones that he died. Then they sent to Jezebel, saying, Naboth is stoned and is dead. And it came to pass, when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give thee money for Naboth is not alive, but dead. And it came to pass yet again, when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab arose up to go down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite to take possession of it. And then the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Arise, go down to meet Ahab king of Israel, which is in Samaria. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Naboth, whither he is gone down to possess it. And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Hast thou killed and also taken possession? And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, in the place where the dogs, oh boy, this is a threat. Not a threat, it's actually a prophecy. In the place where the dogs licked the blood of Naboth, the dogs shall also lick thy blood, even thine. Listen to how Ahab, and think of your 2023 politicians, how they respond to warnings, okay? How they respond to warnings. They respond something like this. Ahab said to Elijah, Hast thou found me, O mine enemy? And he answered, I have found thee, because thou hast sold thyself to work evil in the sight of the Lord. Behold, I will bring evil upon thee, and I will take away thy posterity. And I will cut off from Ahab him, now listen to this is King James, from him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel. Wow, God is mad. And I will make thine house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha and of Ahijah, for the provocation where thou hast provoked me to anger and made Israel to sin. You know, Jeroboam controlled this little patch of area. I shouldn't say little, but he controlled it also. There's signs all over Megiddo about Jeroboam too. Ahab, etc., were ruling over this time. And they had horse stables, they had cisterns and wells. They had like this cistern where they came to pay taxes with wheat. So it was a half a shekel of wheat that you had to give to the religious system at the time. And then you had to give a shekel of wheat for the government. So that was their taxes. And they stored all of the taxes in a cistern with wheat. is on there. So I got to see that. But I'm looking over this, and this is one of those bedtime Bible stories that I wanted to share with you. Now, we have a finale coming up here in a minute, so hang with me. We are almost done. Listen to this. And of Jezebel, the Lord also said, the dogs shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel, and him that dieth of Ahab in the city the dogs shall eat, and him that dieth in the field shall the fowls of the air eat. But there was none like unto Ahab, which did sell himself to work wickedness in the sight of the Lord, whom Jezebel his wife stirred up. Man, I see America in this, guys. But there was none like unto Ahab, which he did very abominably in following idols, according to all the things that the Amorites the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. And it came to pass when Ahab heard these words, that he rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his flesh, and fasted and lay in sackcloth and went softly. Why do you think he took that warning seriously? Because in history, that's exactly what happened in the past to Jeroboam and Ahijah and all of those others, and he knew it. And the Lord is saying, "You're next. You're on deck. It's coming to you next." That's why he was like, I'm sure he was stressed out about that. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah, saying, when he saw that he was, I don't know if it was repentance exactly, but it was more like he was upset from what he heard. And this is what the Lord said to Elijah. He says, "Seest thou how Ahab humbleth himself before me? Because he humbleth himself before me, I will not bring evil in his days, but in his son's days will I bring the evil upon his house." Now, is this cool or what? Look at that. That is still standing today. My Israeli guide told me that is this patch of area right here was Naboth's vineyard, standing right off of Megiddo. Now, the finale is this. I want to focus in on this little hillside back here. See that? Not really a hill. That, ladies and gentlemen, I wish I had gotten a better picture of it. It's a little bit hazy that day, but that is Mount Tabor. And Mount Tabor kind of goes like this. The location of where Jesus took his 3 disciples, Peter, James, and John, and trekked up to the top of this, and the Lord actually transformed himself into his real glorified body and was speaking with Moses and Elijah. And you can find that story in Matthew chapter 17. And he took them up there, and his face did shine like the sun, and his raiment was as white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses, and Elijah was talking with him. What were they talking about, guys? Were those the 2 witnesses in the book of Revelation? Maybe. It's possible. And then Peter, seeing all of this stuff up on Mount Tabor, said unto the Lord, "It is good for us to be here. If thou wilt let us here make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." You know, I've seen this a lot when I was in Israel especially. Okay, I saw it like in airports in America. You know how they have like little prayer areas in the airport? Well, I've seen a lot of Arabs pray and stuff like that, but like the Jews, they have on the shawls, okay? They wear the shawls, the serious ones do, with the little tassels, the blue and white. Well, what they'll do when they pray, they make a little tabernacle over their head. And it's just a representation of like a little prayer house. And it was a covering, God's covering, you know? And so Peter, being very enthusiastic about what was going on, mentioned that to Jesus, you know? But yet while he spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him." And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, "Arise, and be not afraid." And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw that no man was there, save only Jesus. So when they came down the mountain, which is what you're looking at right here, they came down the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, "Tell the vision to no one until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead." So this was kept a secret. This moment was kept a secret until Jesus was resurrected from on the 3rd day. And then, obviously here I am today mentioning it, and everybody else has, that's paying attention, I should say, for a long, long time. This is the Bedtime Bible story, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I intend to do more of these little bedtime Bible stories with the pictures that I've taken in the Middle East when I was over there. So I think you're going to find it fascinating. It was surreal for me to be standing over this area. Believe me, guys, I was so excited when my guide told me that was Mount Tabor, and then this is Naboth's vineyard. It's like, I got to get a picture of that. So, all right, God bless everybody. I will see you in the next Bedtime Bible story.